but we will charge them approximately half.
These tariffs announced Thursday, opening deep red and continuing to plunge.
Said I lost $7 million. I haven't even looked. If I had to guess, I'm down in these last 3 days, probably close to 20.
Tariffs have been a pretty big topic of discussion over the beginning of this year, and a lot of people have a lot of valid concerns about the economy and whether they will be affected by these new policies. So today, that's exactly what we're going to look at. How tariffs have affected the economy in the past and things that we can anticipate going forward. But before we start, this is not a political video trying to sway you one way or the other. We're going to try to stick to the facts in this video. And with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I want to look at is the history of tariffs. And to do that, we're going to have to go all the way back to 1789. For this, we're specifically referring to the Tariff Act of 1789. Now, this act had two purposes. One, to promote trade, and for the second one is to raise revenue for the federal government. Alexander Hamilton, this old guy, he believed that this act would play a key role in protecting Americans' manufacturing sector from foreign competition and also will promote industrial growth over the long haul. Now, it was estimated in some of the years in the 19th century that tariffs provided 95% of the government's actual revenue. Going all the way forward to the 1900s, where the US saw the adoption of income tax and also had tremendous industrial expansion, the historical justifications for keeping tariffs no longer made sense for two reasons. The US government no longer needed the tariff to fund their federal government like they did before, as we discussed in 1789, and also the US no longer needed to protect their industry from foreign competition. One other notable event was the stock market crash of 1929 when President Hoover ended up signing the Smoot-Hawley tariff. The idea was to protect American farmers from the economic downturn brought on by the crash. The European countries, like a lot of countries are doing now, applied retaliatory tariffs. And not only did it have economic impacts to the European countries, it also had economic impacts to the US. Now, there's a lot of people out there who believe that the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act caused the Great Depression, and although that's not true, it did end up worsening the conditions during that time period. One more tariff that's important to mention is the 2002 steel tariffs by the Bush administration, but we're going to go over that a little bit later. So that begs the question, why enact tariffs in the first place? What are the benefits that you would actually see? The first thing is it could provide a source of income for government, which as we saw in 1789, it was a huge part of the US government. The second thing is it could potentially provide leverage to domestically produced goods, protecting them from foreign competition due to the fact that they can't compete with local prices. Which falls into the next benefit, which is incentivizing domestic production. Now, this could ideally create jobs and also cause economic growth. And a couple of other notable ones are job security and using it as bargaining tools as well. Now, of course, we can't speak about the benefits without addressing the downsides of tariffs. The first thing to look at is increased costs for consumers. There is no other way to look at it. If tariffs are being enacted on imported goods, businesses will try to pass the cost on to somebody, and if it's up to them, it's going to be the consumers. Now, a lot of small businesses might have problems in this type of environment due to cash flow issues. The second thing is reduce competition and innovation. Monopolies aren't good for many reasons, although there probably won't be monopolies in the US. Foreign competition provides incentives for businesses to provide better products and favorable prices for consumers. A couple of other ones to consider is inflationary pressures. We're already trying to tame inflation itself, as Jerome Powell always says. He's trying to do a soft landing. And other things to look at is job loss as well, including many more. Now, economists generally agree that free trade increases the level of economic output and income, while on the other end, trade barriers reduce economic output and income. And I'm going to take the George Bush 2002 steel tariffs as an example. Now, in 2002, George W. Bush and his administration placed tariffs on imports of certain steel products in an attempt to protect the domestic U.S. steel industry from foreign dumping. And we can see the result of his actions in this graph below. Now, in this graph, we see the U.S. and European steel prices over time, and 100 is the index for this graph. And as you can see, as we go further and further away from the actual tariff date, there was high inflation, almost over 30% at one point, on steel production. I think the general idea is to bring back manufacturing to the US to increase economic growth, but realistically, this could take years that we might not have. And for businesses, it might not be in their best interest to actually create manufacturing in the US due to the unstable administration policies and with new administration coming in every 4 years. Now, from historical data, I feel like inflation is almost inevitable and something that we're gonna just have to expect. But let me know down in the comments below, do you feel like these tariffs will impact your finances, and do you think they'll be good or bad for the economy? I would love to hear it. But chances are, if you like watching this video, you'll love to see my video on average net worth by age. So if you want to check out that video, click this video right here. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.